Moments like these don't come around very often. Lexus has finally announced that they're bringing a vehicle that not only the dealers have been asking for a long time, but the dealers have been asking because the customers have been asking for this vehicle for even longer. Over at the Toyota newsroom, yes, we're talking about Toyota, Lexus, all in the same book right now. Toyota Indiana welcomes 2 all-new vehicles to the lineup. Smash the like button if you're excited for the new Toyota and Lexus vehicles. Subscribe for updates along the way when we get news updates on these new models, and let's keep reading. What's going on in Indiana is massive, so we're going to talk at length, guys. I'm so excited. My words aren't going to be able to come out fast enough today. Going to be tongue-tied. The Princeton plant will invest $803 million, no big deal, add 1,400 jobs, and drive toward electrified future. So TMMI has been around for about 25 years now. This new investment will be in preparation to introduce 2 all-new 3-row SUVs designed for the active Gen Y American family in mind. I don't know if I fit into Gen Y. I think I'm a millennial. And after a quick Google search, that's the exact same thing. What's more, only one will bear the Toyota name, and the other will officially introduce the Lexus line to Toyota Indiana. Zach Morris timeout, showing my Gen Y-ness right there. There are only a few Lexuses at this point in time made in North America. We have the RX that is produced in Ontario, Canada. I think it's at the Cambridge plant. And then the ES is produced in Kentucky alongside the Avalon down there. So this would mark the 3rd Lexus that is going to be produced in North America. The rest are produced mainly in Japan. And we're also expecting the brand new redesigned NX to be produced in Canada alongside the RX as well. Lexus is becoming more and more North American, for better or for worse. I think it's exciting. What do you guys think? But let's keep reading. They'll say customers will burst at the seams of happiness, getting a glimpse of cutting-edge technology featured on both vehicles. And when on sale, customers can expect a semi-automated driving system which allows for hands-free driving in certain conditions. We're going to stop right there. That is going to be probably Lexus Teammate or whatever is on the current LS that's going to be debuting on the LS Hybrid here in the United States this fall. So it's going to be the exact same system. So lots of sensors, updated radar sensors as well, maybe more cameras on the vehicle. So it'll be interesting to see that. A remote parking system allowing the driver to park and unpark from outside the vehicle using their smartphone. So imagine you have your smartphone, you get out of your car because you don't feel confident parking, or maybe there's just not enough space for you to get out once the car is parked, and you just press park on your phone and it parks itself. And then the same thing would happen if you want it to be unparked. So can't wait to test that, guys. Can't wait to test that. And a digital key that turns a user's smartphone into a key and allows them to share it digitally. So how I envision this is, here's my phone. Obviously the key's on the app, more than likely, and you can probably text a limited time usage code to your child, or let's say a family member who's visiting, and you can say, unlimited access, or 2 hours access before it locks them out. So that will be interesting. So no longer do you need to swap keys, always have the key on you. I'm more excited for the smartphone being your key as opposed to lending that key digitally. Both Lexus and Toyota versions will offer seating for up to 8 passengers. And guys, I'm going to dive into this a little bit. And I think it's important that I talk about what these vehicles will be, what they'll be called. These vehicles will be the Grand Highlander and the Lexus TX in theory. We'll talk about more of that after we get through the full press release here. So 8 passengers, guys, this is huge. Well, the Land Cruiser is gone, so there's kind of a void there on the Toyota lineup, and not going to be an off-roading like that. Now, the Lexus end, it's been tough for a long time. And I've said this so many times on so many videos. Lexus's biggest hole in their lineup is the lack of a large family hauler. And we're finally getting it. It's been way too long. Other companies have been cashing in on Lexus not having a competitive product in the 3-row SUV segment. No Acura MDX competitor, no Audi Q7 competitor, Q8 even. We'll not talk about that today. No Infiniti QX60 competitor. And I could go on and on and on. Lexus hasn't had it. They've had the GX and they've had the LX and they've had the joke that is the RX 350L and 450 HL. Not competitive enough, not enough space. Finally, we're getting this. I could rant on this for a long time, but it's better late than never. And when Lexus enters this segment, it's going to extremely disrupt the legacy buyers of the MDX, of the QX60. And man, who knows when this vehicle is going to come out? I probably don't expect it for another year. But I could talk about three-row crossovers all day, but we need to keep moving. All right, time to get out your salt shakers. Let's have some fun here. Over at Drive Tribe, Lexus trademarks TX name for America. So we've known about this for quite a while, 31 weeks ago. I'll put roughly what that is, what time of the year it was last year. But Toyota trademarked the TX 350 and the 500H. Head to the spreadsheet. This might look a little bit familiar to you guys. I expect a lot of these powertrains to, well, these ones in the middle, to show up in the next few years for Lexus. 300H, 350H, 450H Plus. Definitely 350H and 450H Plus are going to be on the new NX. That's what we are expecting anyways. 500H and then 500E is kind of what I'm expecting, hopefully for a fully electric RX one day. 350 means they're just going to put the V6 that's used in the Highlander and really the RX as well. 3.5 liter V6, 295 horsepower. I don't expect that to change. So that is the base TX 350, really the same thing as RX 350. How are they going to get to an electrified 500H? Well, if we look at the hybrid Highlander, they use a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. And when you electrify that, it's about 245 horsepower, which is right here. The problem with that is 245 horsepower, traditionally somewhere around a 300 or 350H. So for example, the 300H that we see on the ES has 215 horsepower. So 245 to be 500, it just doesn't make any sense. So it's not going to be the 2.5 liter hybrid system unless they're able to pull like a rabbit out of the hat, some sort of magic trick to be able to get the power to make it a 500H. What is a 500H in the Lexus lineup? Well, there are two of them. There's the LC 500H and there's the LS 500H. Both of those are rear-wheel drive based. They use a multi-stage hybrid with 354 horsepower. My memory serves me correct. So we need to have something that's close enough to 350 horsepower in order for this TX to be a 500H. So we know the multi-stage hybrid in the LS and the LC use a 3.5 liter V6. And at the Indiana plant, they also have 3.5 liter V6s to put into the V6 Highlander, the V6 Grand Highlander, and then the TX 350. It's a little bit different V6. It's differently tuned. FXS, that's a mouthful for me, instead of FKS. So it's tuned more for efficiency, and peak horsepower is down. So instead of 290 or 295 horsepower, it's going to have 259 horsepower unless they're able to update the engine a little bit and get more power out of it. That's definitely a possibility. So we have to wait on to see if they're going to update that FXS variant of the V6. But anyways, I think I'm done beating around the bush and how I got to these conclusions. So they're going to use a 3.5 liter V6 for the 500H. Now, could they still use a 2.4 liter turbo engine that has been rumored that they're going to be working? That's a possibility, but this is Toyota and Lexus talking about ultra conservative. They want to make money and they're just going to use V6s because they can do that here in the United States. They would be putting an 180 horsepower electric motor with it, same motor that they have in the Highlander and Sienna hybrids, where both of them are made in the same Indiana plant, right? So they're just going to use the parts that they have there. Maybe, fingers crossed, a little bit more powerful of a rear motor compared to this. The 54 horsepower motor is not going to cut it, in my opinion. They need to have something a little bit more potent. On the current RX 450H, they have a 67 horsepower motor. I definitely guessed on the torque there. I'm guessing around 330 horsepower, which is up from the 308 horsepower on the RX 450H. So they give it a little bit more horsepower. That way they can justify saying, oh, it's a 500H, has more horsepower. And torque, I'm just guessing around the same. And I don't know what kind of battery this is going to have. Now, the Sienna and Highlander hybrids still have a nickel metal hydride battery, which to me is, it gets the job done. I wish they would have lithium ion for efficiency. Nickel metal hydride, I think in theory, does a little bit better in cold weather situations. So I want them to put a larger lithium-ion battery for the Lexus to differentiate itself, but this is Toyota and Lexus we're talking about, ultra conservative, ultra making money mode. So more than likely they're going to put the 1.4 kilowatt hour nickel metal hydride battery inside this thing. And fuel economy, since it's a V6, it's not going to be as good as the Highlander and Sienna. So the Sienna gets 36 miles per gallon. I'm going to say this thing is going to get 30 miles per gallon unless they decide to put a lithium ion battery. Then it might get, low 30s. So there you have it. That's my estimations for the powertrain for the Lexus vehicle that's coming out of Indiana. It's also going to be the same vehicle as the Grand Highlander. And I'm interested to see how Toyota and Lexus are going to differentiate those products. They're both going to have the same technology. They're both going to have the same powertrains in theory. So just a Lexus badge on the front of that TX and maybe semi-aniline leather on the top trims. It'll be interesting to see how different they're going to be, how much different they're going to be in price. Guys, I can speculate on this all day long. Ultimately, what we get out of this is that Lexus finally has a player in the three-row crossover game that is a viable option against the MDX, against the Q7, against the QX60, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, and the Genesis GV80 is taking a lot of sales. I'm seeing them everywhere down here. Apparently where I live is the largest Genesis dealer in the country. So that's a big deal. That's why I see them everywhere. Guys, I am pretty darn excited. We don't get a new Lexus every day. I feel like the last new Lexus we saw announced was the LM300H or LM350, which is the Alphard with a Lexus badge on it. A little bit nicer interior that we don't get here in the United States. It's for the Asian market. So guys, I'll leave it there. I'll see you in the comments below. Definitely smash the like button and subscribe for more Lexus content in the near future. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.